Perfect. All right, you guys. So we have Armin on today. Absolutely been crushing the new final expense leads, which I'm super excited for. The ROI on these is tremendous. So you guys definitely want to pay close attention to how he's working these internet leads. Even for myself, I haven't really worked internet leads too much, so I'm excited to kind of pair that with what we already have going on. So it's gonna be good. Armin, you want to give a quick, I'm sure a lot of people know you are. You want to give a quick intro about who you are and then how long you've been in the industry?
Yeah. So I mean, I first started at FFL in the life insurance space, and we were running, final expense mortgage, or not mortgages, final expense, and then transferred over to Pinnacle, where like was doing some mortgage, did a lot of IUL internet leads. So I'm familiar with internet leads a little bit. So it's not as hard for me to transition into like running internet leads again, because I
Hmm.
understand how they're generated and everything.
Yeah.
Um, I've been doing this now for a little over a year, so I'm still here, haven't fallen off yet, still hanging in there. So
That's
yeah, that's a little bit about me, and I'm excited for this too because finding a reasonably priced instant lead, that's not like resold and like you're potentially the first person that's contacted them. I mean, that to me is like really, really valuable, especially with some of the leads I've worked, which like aged internet leads and stuff like that. So this is definitely a step up from what I've been working before. So,
that's awesome. What's the price point for, is it $3 a lead, or is there a code?
so okay. So price point, I know it varies based on how many you buy. So
Okay.
like for mine, when I got like a pack of 250 for like $625. So it's like $2.50 a lead or something like that, I believe.
Okay.
So you know, essentially, if you got 250 leads, I mean, for you to make your money back, you have to get one sale, essentially. I mean, if you can't do that out of 250 in their instance, I mean, at least one of them is going to be like a free lay. They're going to get a policy.
Yeah.
So if you put these in front of someone that knows life insurance and already's kind of been doing it, I mean, you're going to generate more than one sale, you know? So
100%.
and that was kind of me just like believing in myself as well. I was like, I mean, I know I'll make more than one sale off of this. So it's like it's not even a gamble for me to buy $625 worth of leads.
Mhm.
And I've spent more money on leads before that were quality wise a lot worse, like aged and everything like that. I've spent more money on leads like that where I barely made my return on my investment, versus with these, I was like, first 50 of them, I'm like, I already got my money back. Are you kidding me? So I was like, okay, definitely gonna have to get some more of these, but let me chill a little bit. Let me make sure it's not just, it maybe I was having a good day or a hot week or whatever. Let me just chill a little bit, make sure that it is what it is, and then I'll get some more on Sunday. So, because I was almost like, I'm about to order another pack of leads like this week, but then basically my upline was just like, well, you have 250 of them. Like, you got to work them a little bit. Don't just work through the first 50 and go ditch that pack after you only hit each number once after. So I was like, let me just put some more time and work into it. And I know I'll generate a couple more out of it. So,
100%. So
yeah.
tell this was last week. So tell everyone what did you do out of those 50 leads you mentioned? How many policies did you sell, and then for what AP?
So I sold four, right? So first two was around, I can pull it up. I think it was like 2640 was the first two. And that was
Wow.
essentially the day that I got them. So I got them on Thursday of last week. In the morning, 50 of them came in, started calling through them. And
Mhm.
then I had another one that same, or the next day on Friday, I had another one for a father that he recently got a policy apparently. And that's like something you'll hear a lot is people like, already got it taken care of. And, I discovered what he had or whatever. And I was like, when did you get that set up? And he was like, 3 weeks ago, a guy came by and, got a Corbridge guaranteed issue whole life for me and my son. And I was like, well, I mean, your son's 25. Why does he need guaranteed issue? And he didn't. So for the same price, I got his son more coverage for the same price. And then for
Mhm.
himself, I got him also more coverage for the same price. So, that was an easy, quick, like I think it was 2,400 AP off of just those two. And then there's tons of leads like that, because I always kind of say that in the call or try to get, more value from the call by just asking questions, like, is it you and your spouse? Do you have any kids, friends, whatever, just to try and get more value. And, if you build a good relationship with clients, they're going to refer people to you, so that's why I try to always, build that trust and credibility so that they can in return just bring me more business. So,
That's that's gold. I hope you guys got onto that. So, Armin is doing such a good job with the clients that he has in front of him. Like, love the person that you're with, and then that's opening up more doors to multiple sales from that one client. So, if you take care of the family, you do a good job there. You're more than likely to go and get, a family member, a friend, whatever it is, referral for that. So, that's freaking gold. Um, what is and we'll go over the common objectives in a second. What does your current like work schedule look like throughout the week?
so work schedule, for me at least is at minimum, like I'm trying Monday through Friday. Starting at 9 a.m. I hit the phones at 9 a.m. From like noon to 4, the traffic as far as on the phones kind of dies down for me is what I've noticed. So sometimes I'll stay dialing, sometimes I'll do like admin work and stuff like that within that time. And then
Mhm.
as soon as around like 4 o'clock hits, I'm back on the phones till at least 9 o'clock at night, because if you're on the phones doing that schedule every day, like you might have a sale before noon, right? In the morning, that might happen, but it might not happen. But your next block of the day, like your next half of the day from 4 to 9, you might have 3, 4 sales. So it's like, that's why I always try to stay consistent with that, because I mean, it's a numbers game and there's still skills involved with it. But if you stay consistent with those hours and numbers, you're gonna have a lot more success, I feel like, in this business. Because like for me, there were times that I would take time off and then getting back into it. You got to rebuild your momentum versus if you stay consistent doing the same thing every single day, your momentum is not going to stop. It's just going to keep carrying to the next day. You know,
Yeah.
like I could not make a sale today, right? I still wouldn't be upset about it because I still got tomorrow. I got, Thursday, I got Friday, I got Saturday and Sunday, which Saturday and Sundays are money days for me because a lot of people, they're home, they're not working. So if you call them up in the morning or afternoon, kind of works good on the weekends. A lot of
Mhm.
times you'll have a lot of conversations on the weekends. So I've been
I
doing
like
that a
that.
lot more. Yeah.
I like that. So you're basing your value off of your productivity. You're not basing on if if I got a sale or not. I
Yeah.
think that was one of the mistakes I made when I first got into the industry. It's like, man, you will ride a emotional roller coaster if you're basing on if you sold or not. Like,
Yeah.
so you putting in that productivity early, you're not worried about if you got a sale because in that back half or that next day, you're destined for it.
Yeah.
So that's a great way to go about it.
Yeah.
What and I was gonna ask as well, what are the three with these type of leads, what are the three most common objectives? And then we'll go over, how you're handling those three.
I mean, first three, like kind of what Mike said, I'm not interested. I've already gotten this taken care of. And then the other one I would say would probably be timing. A lot of people, if you call them and it's just not the right time, as far as they're at work or they're just doing something, I mean, you're not going to be able to close them. I mean, there's times where, I've had people on the phone with me and they're literally in the car driving. How can I expect, like, think about your own self, right? How can you expect on the phone to buy something while you're driving and giving out banking, social, all that stuff? So like a lot of times with those, I'm more polite instead of just losing a sale and trying to push it. I'm more like, well, what's a better time that me and you can sit down and really go over this together in depth, and I book an appointment that way. And
All right.
I feel like you have a higher chance of closing that person than trying to push a sale onto them. Like, oh, well, this would be 5, 10 minutes. Just pull over real quick, or saying something like that. Like nobody wants to do that. Nobody wants to do that. So I would
100%.
say those are the three that are most common for sure. Would be those three
I was
objections.
I was gonna ask too, so are you primarily doing one call close? Or are you doing a hybrid method? Are you only booking how are you doing that?
So I would say if it's a one call close, I'm gonna one call close it. Like if it's somebody that's there with me and like I already went through my pitch and everything like that, I gave them the options and they picked an option, I'm gonna
Yep.
one call close it. If it's somebody that is on the fence a little bit, I'll push push the gas a little bit to try and push them into a one call close. But, sometimes you have to book an appointment to get that sale. Some people are not one call closable people. They're the type of person that they need to think about it maybe a little bit, or they want to talk to somebody about it, whatever it is. Sometimes you're not going to get a one call close. But what I have noticed at least is if I work my schedule, like I was mentioning to you on the productivity side, you
Hmm.
will get a one call close, because if you have enough people in front of you, like I said, it goes back to the numbers game. So there's going to be someone in there that will be a one call close. So you might have 5 appointments, and then 9 o'clock at night you're still there on the phone on the computer till 9:30 because you got the one call close.
Hmm.
So that's why I
All
never
right.
get down on myself when it comes to not making a sale or something like that. So
100%. And next question on that too, how do you feel about one leg appointments?
one leg appointments. So listen, I'm not the hugest fan of appointments. I'll be honest with you, because a lot of times that's another smokescreen. There's people they'll literally book an appointment, you'll send them confirmation text, whatever, have them on your calendar, and they'll confirm to all of it, and you go into the mindset, well, I got 5 appointments or something like that set for the day. You know, I try to keep in contact with the people. Like I'll shoot them a text and be like, "Are you going to be able to make it for the appointment?" They might say yes, and then you call them, and then they just don't show up you know so I never put my faith in appointments whatsoever, because they're still not guaranteed.
Yeah, yeah. So,
So I mean, you could have 5 appointments or 10 appointments in a day, but that doesn't mean any of them are going to show up. It depends on the person that you booked as an appointment. So
right. What do you feel about like if you just have the husband on the phone, maybe the coverage is for the both of them. Like, how do you feel about running the one leg with just the husband or just the wife?
I mean, I'll do it honestly. If it's just the husband, or if it's just the husband and I confirm it with him, I'm be like, well, I mean, who's kind of the main income earner in the household? I mean, is it you or is it her? And I've
Mhm.
had a few times where, you know, the husband would say to me, he's the main income earner, but the wife makes the decisions. And I'm like, well, I mean,
Mhm.
you getting this policy and protecting your family, I mean, what's the worst that she's going to say to you? And then at the same time, I also say to him, I'm like, well, you know, you're the main income earner in the household. So you paying for this policy is going to be off of you just working maybe a little bit harder to be able to afford it every month. So like I'll
Mhm.
be, honest with the guy and tell him straight up, like, you don't really need to go talk to your wife about this. This is a decision that you're going to be paying for anyways. So,
Yeah.
you know, I kind of do things like that. And, sometimes I'll be like, well, if he's really, kind of stuck on, I got to talk to my wife, I'll try to book an appointment, or I'll ask, well, is your wife available? And, sometimes she is, sometimes she isn't. If she's not, sometimes you have to book that appointment, and just try to build as much value through maybe text message conversation, or if you have a CRM or something, you can put that lead and just have it getting, constantly contacted a little bit so that it
Mhm.
stays nurtured or whatever. So that
Right.
would be the best way I would say I would describe that. But
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's good. That's good. Yeah, I feel the same way with one legs too. Like I'll run one legs. I usually run it with the wife, but if it is just the
Wife's
husband,
always easy. Yeah,
yeah.
the wives are always easy.
Always makes the decisions. But yeah, like you were saying, if it is the husband, checking with them is either breadwinner at prompting questions like that to kind of see if he can submit the request by himself. That's a great setup. Um, let's go into I think that's going to be important for agents. Let's go into the three main objections and how you're handling them. So, you get me on the phone. I'm not interested. I just submitted the request.
Yeah. I mean, I totally get that, Malik. I mean, a lot of people, they feel the same way, when they first hear about life insurance. I mean, life can move fast, money can be tight. I get it. I mean, just so I'm clear and respectful of your time, Malik, I mean, if this was totally free and, there was no cost to, setting it up, I mean, would this be something that you would, be interested in setting up for some financial protection for your family, and, leaving something behind that's a tax-free, benefit, and could help maybe build generational wealth for you and the family? So I'll say something around those lines.
Okay.
And there's two ways that they could put it, which I said on the other call is like they could say yes, which if they say yes, it's about money. If they say no, right, then there's something else that you have to dig a little bit deeper to find the real objection there. So
Mhm.
with the yes, it's always about money. So I go down and I just offer them a scalable solution essentially, right?
Mhm.
So my thing to that is like if they said yes, right, I'll go. I even have this written down too, and some objection handling, just because there's only really five main objections that you'll hear when it comes to like most sales processes. So what I pretty much would say, Maliik, is, I mean, if you had said yes, right,
Mhm.
I would be like, totally makes sense, Maliik, and I appreciate your honesty. I mean, a lot of my clients, they do start small and they scale up later. I mean, what's most important, Maliik, is just getting something started now while you're still young and healthy enough to pretty much lock in those benefits tied to your age, right?
Mhm.
So that's how I pivot to that. And then something I said on the other call earlier today, where pretty much tying it to something that's a real life expense for people, right? So like if I could, get you something that was, the cost was $2 to $3 a day. I mean, would that be something that you would be interested in reviewing? I mean, that's less than your morning cup of coffee right there. So like tying it into something will also make it, percolate a little bit in their brain, because it's like, dang, he's right. I spend $2 to $3. Maybe I do spend $2 to $3 a day on coffee. You know, this is financial protection. This is $100,000 in coverage or whatever the amount is for my family. You know, so
100%.
and that helps to building the value of the product as well. So
That's good. That's really good. Okay. Okay. So that was that one. And then I know you just had an example from this last week for the one you closed. Um, you know what? I've already taken care of it.
so as soon as they say that, it's two things. Maybe they already have something, or they don't have something, but they're just smoke screening you to get you off the phone. So I'm like, yeah, I mean, Maliik, that's exactly why I'm calling. So I mean, what carrier did you end up going with? Because I just don't see any notes here on your file, right?
Mhm.
So I tie it back into a little bit of confusion, right? With the mortgage protection process, we have that like confusion in there. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but I
Yeah.
tie it into some confusion, like, I'm just not seeing any notes here on your file, or any updates. So, I just want to make sure that you weren't missing, you were taken care of. So, I mean, what carrier did you end up going with? And then more than likely, if they really have something, they'll give you their carrier, their coverage amount, their monthly investment, which those are the follow-up questions that you ask, right?
Mhm.
So what carrier? Corbridge Financial. Oh, okay. How much coverage do you have through Corbridge Financial? 10K. We already know it's guaranteed issue at that point. And then
Mhm.
what's your monthly investment into that? $100 a month. Well, is there any reason, why you were put with Corbridge Financial? I mean, do you have any underlying health conditions? Going right through that. And then you can just
Mhm.
pivot it, right? Figure out when they got that policy, started, which in this guy's case, he had not even made his first premium yet. So
Yeah.
for me, that's where I swooped in on the call. I was like, he hasn't even made his first premium. So let me get this sorted out and get him a better policy, before even that gets started.
Yeah.
So those are things you gotta just ask the questions. I mean, if you have somebody that's on the phone with you, you just gotta ask the questions. Like, don't be scared to ask them. The worst thing that's gonna happen is they're gonna hang up on you or tell you to whatever f off or something. Yeah,
Mhm.
I'm never scared of asking questions. So
That's a great mentality to have, especially with internet leads. Like I feel like you get like one shot and it's so quick before they hang up. Like if you guys aren't hitting them back with
quick,
questions immediately to like take
yes,
that control, like
yes,
you pretty much have like the first 15 seconds to shine. So if you guys picked up on that, you want to make sure you're prompting good questions in the beginning, taking a deeper dive. Don't be afraid to, because you're right. The worst they could do is hang up. Like
yeah,
ask those
yeah.
questions to get deeper into the presentation. That's cool.
And that's the biggest piece that you mentioned right there, is that 15 seconds. Like if you, and I don't want anybody to be scared or when I say this or something, but if you freeze up in that 15 seconds, you're gonna lose. You're gonna lose. Like
Mhm.
you have to say something quick, whatever it is. Just say something in your head, whatever. Just make up something. If you can't think of it right off the bat, just keep the conversation alive. I mean, if
Mhm.
somebody says something that's So there's you guys, you know who Daniel G is. He said a common response to any objection, which just will give you a little bit more time in any call, is okay, Maliek, and what else? You're not interested, okay, and what else? Right? And that's like a common and I've used it though, and it does work. It's not like something that doesn't work because then they're just going to give you the next objection, So it gives you some time to sort them out. And then usually by the second or third objection, oh, I don't know, maybe right now is not the right time, and the cost, I don't know about the coverage and the price. You already know right there it's a money situation. It's not any of the other objections, you know?
Hmm.
So that's something you can think about as well, to just really dig out the actual objection first and then handle it and then isolate it past that objection and then go right back into your sales process, your script, you
Yeah,
know? So
that's fire. That's definitely next level. So uncovering the, true gray area, passing the smoke screens, asking, better questions to get deeper into the presentation. Like that's cool. Let's see where you're able to do this. Um, let's run through. I'm sure everyone wants to hear the live pitch. Let's run through the live pitch for role play.
yeah.
Up to the point where I guess you're about to hit the financial inventory.
So something I'll touch on as well, I
Hmm.
don't really do a financial inventory. So I know that financial inventory is important, right? For me, it's more, I don't put down everything that we have in a financial inventory because I feel like, at least for me personally, is that it takes a lot away from, my time, and then also the
Hmm.
reason of the call a little bit, because I kind of get off a track of the call to put down their financial inventory and do all that stuff. So
Hmm.
I'm more ask, like, you know I'll be like, what underlying health conditions do you have and stuff like that. So I ask more like easier questions than direct questions, so that I can keep the ball kind of rolling, and like I can sort out and figure out what carrier, what product I can actually get them, approved for later, so to speak.
Right.
So, the financial inventory, it's important. I'm not saying it's not, but when you've been doing this for a little bit of time, like for new agents, it's important because that's how you're going to learn, what carrier, what products. But when you have been doing it for a little bit of time, like if somebody tells you they have all these health conditions and everything like that, you kind of know pretty quickly what carrier and stuff like that they can get approved for. So
Mhm.
for me, I don't do a full financial inventory. I do it kind of throughout my process. I ask a couple questions here, which helps me to pretty much put them into the right product. So, I mean, I'll start. I'm gonna start with from the top with you. So,
Yeah.
how it would go is, I mean, so it'd be like, hey Maliek, hey Maliek,
Yep.
hey, it's just Armand here with Pinnacle Life Group. How you doing today?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm doing all right. How was your Memorial Day weekend?
I went well. Just hanging with the family. Yeah. So nothing too crazy for the weekend.
Awesome. Yeah, I was doing the same. Had a little barbecue. Now,
Nice.
Maliek, I don't usually make these calls personally, but your request came through, and I just wanted to make sure you didn't get missed here. So, I'm just the licensed field underwriter that was assigned to your request for some state approved final expense insurance here in the state of Florida.
Hmm.
So I'll try to make this quick, Maliek. I'm just closing out some files, and I'm not seeing any updates or notes here on yours. Do you mind if I just verify a few things just to see if you'd qualify?
Yeah. Yeah. That works for me.
Okay. Can you confirm your current address with me real quick, Maliek? I have it as 123 Main Street.
Yeah. Yeah. That's correct.
Okay. And are you somewhere you could grab a pen and a piece of paper?
Yeah. You know what? I think I already took care of this.
Okay, awesome. And what carrier did you end up getting set up with, Maliek?
Um, you know what? Let's play it on the. You know what? I don't remember. This was about maybe two weeks ago, 3 weeks ago.
Okay. And do you know how much your coverage is?
Mm, no, I'm not sure. What was this again? You said it was for the final expense.
Yeah, it was for that state approved final expense insurance here in the state of Florida.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, let's go ahead and hear about it.
Okay. So can you get a pen and piece of paper? Can you grab
Y-
me a pen and piece of paper?
Yeah, yeah, I'm ready to go for you.
Okay, awesome. So, before we get into it, Maliek, I mean, is this coverage just for yourself, or do you want to include your spouse or a partner in this?
This is just for myself. I want to make sure if something happens to me that my daughter is able to take care of like the final expenses.
Okay. And before we get into it, Malik, let me just give you my information, just so you know who exactly you're speaking with. All right.
Okay.
So I just want you to write down, Malik. So my first name is going to be Armand with Pinnacle Life Group.
Okay.
Let me know once you write that.
Yep, Pinnacle, okay.
Awesome. And this is going to be my license state number, which is, pretty much you can verify me and look me up and, you'll know you're talking to a real person.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever you're ready for that, my license number is going to be 2115 three
Mm-hmm.
nine three three.
3-3. Okay. Yep, I got it.
Now, Malik, I'm going to also text you over my digital business card. Is this the best phone number right here on file that, I can share information with while we're on the call?
Yeah, I do receive messages here.
Okay, awesome. So I just sent that over to you now. Just let me know once you've got that.
Yeah, that just came through for me.
Okay, awesome. So Malik, when you did submit this request, and I know you had mentioned you already kind of got that taken care of. I mean, what pretty much made this feel important enough to take action?
Man, good question. I was just really thinking that I didn't really have too much in place from beforehand. I've seen family members, pass away, and I'm not looking to do the GoFundMe. So I just want to make
Yeah,
sure, my daughter has something to take care of those expenses there.
yeah, yeah. I mean, those are super common reasons, Malik. I mean, sounds like you kind of just want to get your house in order and just make sure all your ducks are in a row there. Now,
Yep.
I know you had mentioned your daughter, and the main reason we're looking into this, I guess, is because your daughter is very important to you, right?
Hmm.
So, I
Correct.
mean, Malik, if God forbid something happened tomorrow, I mean, you know, why would it be important for you to protect your daughter specifically?
Mhm. Yeah, she just getting out of college, so she's just starting, her new career path. So, if something happened now, I wouldn't want her to, come out of pocket, when, especially when she's just starting her career.
Yeah, especially with the cost of final expense nowadays and funerals. I mean, do you want to be buried, cremated?
Definitely looking for a burial. I definitely want a service, that way my daughter is able to mourn, peacefully for her.
Okay. And I know you had mentioned that you had that other life insurance that you got set up 3 weeks ago. I mean, you know, do you did you get any sort of information on that? Do you have anything that came through in the mail?
Yeah, I don't think anything ever came through. I think I was just going through the pre-qualification, so I'm not sure if I even, got approved for that one.
Okay. But as far as our knowledge, like, we were never declined so far.
Never declined, no. Mm-mm.
Okay. And are you still working, Malik, or are you retired on Social Security?
Yeah, I'm retired on Social Security. Yeah, I was used to be in the I used to work for USPS, so post
Oh,
office. Yeah.
okay. Nice. Yeah. And this is actually me. I'm not lying. I mean, I used to work for USPS too as well. I was
Oh
delivering
wow.
mail, driving a semi truck. So yeah, I used to. So that's another thing I always do is I always try to tie in something into everyone
Solid.
I'm talking to. So, um,
Solid.
but so Malik, I mean, is that income? Is it going into like a bank account or direct express card?
For me, it's coming through bank account. Usually taking care of the second Wednesday of every month.
Okay, awesome. And the reason I asked that question as well is just because we only have two carriers that will actually accept direct express. So I always ask that question because that will tell you what carrier you actually can pitch options of if it goes into a direct express card. Because if
Mm,
they don't have a bank account, like it's you're gonna lose that sale because it's just like you're gonna have to try and tell the client, convince them to set up a bank account and or have a different payer on the policy. So it's like
yeah.
it's just gonna cause a headache. So that's why I do ask that. Um, but then right after that, what I would follow up with is, I mean, so Malik, this is your first real step. Then I'm assuming that you've taken to actually look into life insurance. Now, I want to ask you, most people, they fall into one of four categories. So, for you, from what it sounds like so far, I mean, you kind of fit into all four of them. I mean, you don't have any coverage at all. You know, you want to leave something behind, and it sounds like you're worried a little bit about being a burden to your daughter. Am I right with that?
Yeah, yeah, that's correct.
Okay. And there's something here, Malik, that most people don't know. I mean, there's three types of policies when you actually get into life insurance and look at life insurance in general. So that first type, Malik, is called term. So term life insurance, Malik, it's cheap up front, but it does end. And there's no cash value, and there's no payout if you outlive it. So I always educate a little bit as well in my sales process.
That's
Um,
good.
Now, that second type, Malik, it's going to be an accidental death, which, that only covers accidents, not illness. So the only way that coverage pays out, if God forbid, you were to pass away in any sort of, freak accident, that's the only way that that policy would pay out. Now, what you submitted a request for, Malik, is whole life or final expense insurance, which pretty much how that works, Malik, is, well, one, it never expires. It also builds a small cash value. It's not a lot. It's not going to make you rich. And then that rate also never goes up. So, based on what you're trying to protect, Malik, I mean, which sounds like the smartest choice for you?
I like this setup. I had to write that down. You know what? I think yeah, whole life you mentioned. I think that would be the right one for this situation. Yeah.
Okay. Well, Malik, but based on everything you've shared, I mean, here's three smart options most people in your shoes typically go with, and then I'm right into like I'm presenting options, right? So I'm like, just write down gold, silver, bronze for me, Malik. You know, let me know once you write that down, right? And then gold, obviously, for depending on who the person is, how old they are, right? It could be 50,000, it could be 25. So you gotta, that's still something that comes with some knowledge, right? It's
Okay.
not
Yeah.
like something I could just be like to a new agent, tell them 25K, because if they're 50 years old, you can get them 50,000 and you can get them, you know what I mean? So the
Mhm.
options, it's a little bit hard to break that down completely to everyone because it's going to vary depending on the person, you know?
Right.
If it's
Hmm.
a 70-year-old, you're not going to pitch them 50,000 because they're not going to afford $1,000 a month, you know. But that's what I mean by I do a financial inventory, but it's more just question based financial inventory, and I
Hmm.
take notes on it, right? So I still do take some notes so that I forget things, and then so I don't forget things, and then I could tie things back in towards the closing and the sale. So
Bro, that's fire. Do you have a list of like your questions that you're asking for those? Because that and like also what is the duration of your call going at it like that? Like that's awesome. Are you closing deals in like 30 minutes, something like that? 20, 30
I would
minutes?
say if it's a smooth sailing call, like 20-30 minutes. If it's
Yeah.
somebody that I got to get in a little bit more and build a little bit more of a relationship with, like that call could go to 40-45 minutes, an hour, right?
Hmm.
But the way I look at it, I'm like, if I get on a call, anything past 15 minutes, you're most likely going to close them. I mean, that's kind of another thing I do look at is like my call duration. If it's a quick 5 minutes or a quick 3 minutes, 2 minutes, a lot of times I won't even book an appointment for that. Like I'll just leave that person be and move on. Maybe I'll put a little note, like spoke to them briefly. They told me to give them a call back. I'll put a note
Hmm.
like that. But the only appointments that I really book is pretty much anything over, I'd say 15 minutes, truthfully,
Okay.
because I feel like those are really solid appointments. Anything
Hmm.
under that, I'm just like, there's most likely a chance this person was just trying to get off the phone, but they were trying to be nice.
Right. Right.
And they couldn't shake me other than being mean and hanging up. So they just were like still going through it with me. So yeah, that's what I would say with running through the script, how I just kind of ran it through with you. It would be anywhere from 20 to 30 minutes, depending on how fast I move and like my pacing and the way I'm speaking and stuff like that. Like I
Mhm.
try to keep it the same for every call, but every now and then you have some people that they try to talk a lot and try to talk over you. So sometimes you kind of just have to be you have to control the frame a little bit more. So I got to change my tonality in order to do that,
Right.
you know?
I
So
know one thing for sure that I liked about the presentation, like the questions aren't direct, they're indirect questions, but you're uncovering layers with these indirect questions. And by the time you know it, like you've already confirmed it from my mouth. You know the true value points, then you double back to hit it again. Hey, this is sounding correct? Yeah. Boom, you got it again, like, and you got right into the options. Like that's a A1 setup there. That's awesome. Do you have a list of some of your indirect questions that you're asking for like the soft inventory?
so the indirect questions, they're more like I need to write them down, right? So maybe what I'll do from this call is I take them and write them down because a lot of
Okay.
times I don't have them in the script. It's just I know what I'm going to say next from the script
Right.
because I've kind of designed it myself a little bit. So
Hmm.
I already know what I'm going to say right after that. You know what I mean? So like
Hmm.
I don't have them down in notes, but if I put them down in notes, then it's going to be a lot easier for somebody else to understand my script because it's just something I haven't done. I need to do it. Um, I do have like some word tracks and stuff like that I put as comments on the side of my script where
Okay.
it can help you, maybe get back into a conversation, or if you're a
Hmm.
little bit lost and you don't know where to go, right? You can maybe read them or see them there and be like, oh, okay, let me say this. So I do have
Right.
things like that can potentially help somebody get back into the conversation. But something I will say though that I've used it a couple of times now is like, okay, and what else? That literally just that, and just give me another objection so I can restart almost like let's keep it going. I don't want to lose you yet, but just give me another objection to handle because I can't handle
Hmm.
that one right now. My mind's not there, but I can handle the next one. You know,
Got it.
so
Okay. What and as well, like, so what I like to, and I wrote down, like you're handling, and this is how everyone should do it too. Like you want to knock those objections out from the very beginning. So that way it's a lot smoother process. Like it's so tough like handling objections at the end of the call, and now it's like head to head. Like it's
yeah,
tough. Yeah, it's tough to submit a
it's
request like that.
yeah, you want it to be smooth. You don't want to have to deal
Mhm.
with the cost or something like that because you didn't build the value enough. And then you're going through the e-app and then the person, starts double think or, starts thinking and then they're like, oh, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, give me a call back later. Like, that's the worst feeling. I don't want to go even start an application and have somebody bang on me. So for me, a lot of times, if I really get to the point where I'm starting an application, like, if it
Mhm.
takes an hour for me to get through it, because I got to answer some other questions that the person might, say to me while I'm on the call,
Mhm.
so be it. But I don't even really like starting applications until I know for sure that I can get them pushed through. So that's why I try to handle the objections up front to not really have to face them later.
I was gonna ask as well, one of the questions I had, because I know we went over burial, and I don't run much final expense. What are your face amounts? I guess it depends on the client, but what are your face amounts typically look like if I went the other direction for a cremation?
Gotcha. So if they tell me like cremation, right, I'm like, yeah. So Maliek, I mean, cremations they can cost anywhere from like $800 to $1,200, depending on who you go with.
Hmm.
Now, the other piece I know you mentioned is the main reason we were looking at this is for your daughter as well. So, if we get the cremation covered for $800 to $1,200, I mean, what do you want to leave behind your daughter? Right?
I
So
like that.
now I'm putting it back. I'm putting the ball back into his court. Like,
Yeah.
you tell me how much you want to leave to her, right? Because
Uh,
we covered the cremation, right? But now tell me how much you want to leave to your daughter, right? So that's
Fire.
kind of how I just bounce it back to them, to get their answer. And sometimes you'll have a person they'll say, $100 a month that's out of their budget. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But I'll be like, well, what's a number in your mind, Maliek, that you could invest into this policy every month that wouldn't take any food off the table for you or the family, right?
Mm,
And then
okay.
when they give me that number, right? If I already pitched them the three options and none of them worked, then I could be like, well, I do have one other carrier that we could go with. And that's another thing. When I give them options, I'm not telling them the carrier, right? So I'll be like, so Maliek, there is one other carrier we could go with, which they do actually allow, lower coverage amounts. So I could essentially get you X amount of dollars for that exact monthly investment that you would, be comfortable with.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So that's my other way of if they really can't even afford all three of the options,
Right.
and you can tie it back into, with the scaling, right? So I mean, Maliik, with that option, right, it's going to be within your budget. It's not going to take any food off the table. And I mean, the great thing about it is, we're just getting pretty much your foot in the door. I mean, you'll be starting small, obviously, but you can always scale up later. And, it's just important that we do get some sort of protection now while you're young enough
Mm-hmm.
and healthy enough to lock in those benefits for your age. Right.
Uh, the
So
go ahead. I'll ask after.
no, no, ask it because I was done there. I was just thinking of something, but it wasn't really anything I needed to add.
And you guys, if you guys have questions, please put them in the chat. My bad, I'm firing away with questions. I'm gonna check the chat. Yes, this recording will be posted in Discord, Richard. Um, for direct express carriers, you're using Corebridge.
No, so Direct Express, I believe Liberty Bankers and Transamerica. So those are the only two carriers that you can go with, I believe, for Direct Express, and it takes it right out on the day that they get their funds, right? So they can't even, so that right there is going to prevent you from getting a chargeback, like almost guaranteed, just because if they're really for sure wanting the policy and everything like that, the only thing that they can do is call in and cancel the policy themselves, which if it hasn't happened, but you know that's pretty much their only way of canceling the policy would be to call into the carrier directly, cancel the policy, or
Mhm.
somehow change their card, their Direct Express card. But a lot of people are not going to do that because they use that card for everything.
Right.
So that helps with chargebacks because they're not able to spend their money before that charge comes out, right? So it's just going to be subtracted from their monthly income. Now that's
Mhm.
why it's important though with those clients as well though to do a little bit more of a financial inventory to make sure that you're not kind of screwing them over as far as their budget goes. So
Right.
that's something I should have added as well is if they're on Social Security with Direct Express and they don't have a bank account, that's all they
Uh-huh.
use. Dig a little bit deeper into the financial inventory to just make sure that they have enough money to afford that policy with their other bills.
Hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
So you're really doing a deep dive. If that is the situation, they're on Direct Express. You're doing a little bit of like breakdown into like their budget for like other expenses, like bigger expenses. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. So like, what's, and rough estimate, Maliik, of, how much you get in or how much your monthly income is. And then I break down, do you have a rent, mortgage, groceries,
mm,
food, other bills, all that stuff.
that's good. All right,
Yeah.
so guys, my bad. I'm gonna open it up for some questions. I've been firing away. That was really good. 50. Yeah.
So how
If you
much?
can, oh, go ahead, Rich.
Yeah, I was just say, how much premium were you able to write off that pack that you bought?
So I'm still running through it. I mean, as of right now, I'm a little bit over 5K AP with the father and the son. I just haven't updated it on my spreadsheet. And as far as leads, Jonathan, per week, so far, like this is my first week running them, so I just kind of put faith in myself. I went in, I bought 250 of them for $625. So as far as of right now, I mean, the first 2 days of me dialing them, I had already made my money back. So I was like, okay, like I just gonna have to probably, just keep digging in this pack because I still have tons of leads here that I haven't really contacted, and I haven't hit them at, like I said, in the morning and then also in the evening as well. So um, success in certain states, I wouldn't say I've seen more success in certain states just because I'm licensed in 13 states. So for me, my lead pack that I bought, it's has leads in every single state I'm licensed in. So if you have one or two states, for me, I would be interested to see, the success somebody would have with just having one or two states. So I don't really run mortgage that much, Jacob. I mean, I have, but for me, you know, the main things I've done, I mean, when I first got started in Pinnacle, I was running mortgage, and then I got into IULs, and then after IULs, I'm transitioning into FEX just because I still like IULs, except the cost on an IUL lead is a lot higher than these FEX leads, and the IUL leads are not instants. So I was buying aged IUL leads versus these are the same cost as aged IUL leads, but they're instants. So it's a better, it's a better investment for me.
Like that. I was gonna ask as well because I got a couple new agents and I'm trying to see what direction to go. Like, I know age mortgages, like mailers and stuff, is getting a lot less prevalent because availability stuff like that. From your recommendation, of course, you want to check with your uplines for any new agents trying to get into this. But like from your recommendation, would you recommend a new agent start with that instant final expense lead, especially at that price point?
Yeah, for that price point, I
Okay.
definitely would because I'll be honest with you, I don't even know how they're doing a price point of like $2 to $3 for an instant lead. It's literally unheard of. Like at my old IMO, Family First Life, Integrity Marketing, I don't know if you were familiar with them. We
Yeah,
were getting like a 2, 3, 4 year old final expense lead for 75 cents.
right.
And you're probably familiar with calling those. Like those leads are terrible, terrible. Like you'll call through a pack of five. I bought a pack of 500 of those leads before, and I made like 2 sales out of a pack of 500. So like I've been in the trenches with the dialing through leads, so I understand a little bit like what leads are good and what leads are bad. So yeah, these leads are definitely, there's a good return on them, and it's pretty simple. I mean, it's not, you don't have to know a lot of things to sell somebody from one of these leads. And I would say put trust in yourself. Like, don't limit yourself and buy just like 50 to test them out, because sample size when it comes to any lead, right? A sample size for me at least is a minimum of like 100 in order for me to be like, okay, these are good or bad. The reason I went
Mhm.
all in on 250, I'm like, I saw Kelly, I think it was Kelly Vincent or there's some other dogs that were just
Yeah.
making money off them. Like, if they're doing it, like, I'm not saying I'm as good as them, but I'm like, I know that I could obviously make some money off of these. Like, I know enough to be able to sell a final expense lead.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
I see why you're doing it though. Like your presentation is absolutely solid. You're building value immediately, getting it from their mouth. And then your options are laid out in a way that makes sense. You checked with them on Express. You're doing a budget breakdown if that's the case. Also, the piece about educating them and then prompting them, hey, which coverages, sound like the best for you. Like, so the buy-in level of the conversation is pretty darn high. Yeah, I'm down to test these out. So I'll reach out to you probably in like the next couple of days and let you know how this is going. So I'm looking to add them with my mortgage leads, just something to supplement.
yeah.
So I think this is gonna be a great run with it. I appreciate you hopping on, brother.
Yeah, and just so you know too, I have nothing affiliated with them, but I got an email that there's a deal going on.
Oh,
So there's a deal going on with Strong Point Leads right now. So I think let me pull it up real quick, and it's till the end of the week on Sunday. So 150 leads, you would get 25 bonus leads. A lead order of 250, you get 50 bonus leads, and then an order of 500, you're getting 100 bonus leads. So order of 500 is 11.25. You get 100 bonus. Your cost per lead is only $1.83 for an instant lead. So, I mean, that's unbelievable. Truthfully, that's really unbelievable. I mean,
I'm
and then
in.
you
Like,
can win more
okay.
leads off of making sales and posting it on your story or whatever too that they have in here. So, yeah, I'm excited to see how better these get too, because I know these are still like, I guess, beta. They're in the beta, right? So they're not
Right.
even. Yeah, so these are just going to get better over time. I mean, truthfully, they're just going to get better.
That's solid. Okay, I'm glad you pointed it out. I'm for sure gonna probably just do like a 250 pack, just supplement, and you get 50 extra bone. Okay,
Yeah, yeah,
that's awesome.
yeah,
Um, do you guys have any last questions? This has been gold. I'm definitely gonna be able to watch this one back. So yeah, this is recorded, guys. Uh, Make sure I didn't have anything in the chat. Oh, do you have Instagram?
Yeah, I do have Instagram.
You drop your Instagram in the chat.
Yeah, I'll drop it in the chat.
Perfect. So, okay, yeah. So Instagram's in the chat, guys. If you guys have any questions, please reach out. And then, yeah, I mean, I'm definitely gonna have some feedback for you in the next couple of days with these. So I appreciate you doing this for us.
Yeah, no, I look forward to hearing it from you, Maliik. I mean, I know you're probably a dog, so when you get on these, you'll find success too, dude. It's not that much different from any sales process. Like you're just changing the product and why you're calling or whatever, So yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for hopping on, brother. You guys will be back on next Tuesday, same exact time. So I'll see you guys next week. If you guys have any questions in the meantime, please reach out, or hold them until next Tuesday. Thank you guys for hopping on.
See you guys.
See you, Mike. See you, Maliik.